What's up everybody and welcome back to another video, and today we're continuing our YouTube week by diving into the terrifying world of credit card debt on TikTok. Now unless you're in the slim minority like me who received a whopping 45 minutes of lecture on credit cards and credit reports and interest in high school, you never received any education on credit cards in high school. And unless you majored in finance or business or took those classes, you never got any education on those things either. Because for some reason, high schools think the Pythagorean theorem, which 99% of students will never use, is somehow more important than getting yourself into crippling credit card debt. And colleges think that the social norm of having a college degree that somehow makes you better than everyone else is a better option than putting yourself into $250,000 worth of debt at a 15% interest rate that you will never pay off with a useless degree. Certainly not to say that all degrees are useless, but many do exist. Now, if you're wondering what a YouTube week is, I'm referring to my YouTube week, which is Tuesday through Saturday, where I try to upload a video every day. And that's 5 videos a week on a large variety of topics. So if that's something that interests you, consider subscribing to the channel. So let's get straight into these TikTok horror stories. First, we're going to check out a couple who found themselves in a bind with $45,000 worth of credit card debt.
I think it's finally time that I tell you guys exactly how much debt I'm in. This is probably my most asked question, and I have been avoiding it for about 2 months now, I think for pretty obvious reasons. But I have been asked it so much, and I finally was just like, why the hell am I hiding it? Like, what does it matter? Oh well. So here we are. So this number does not include our actual mortgage or my car. My husband's car we recently paid off, and my car, by the time we have all of our credit cards and everything paid down, my car will then be paid off. So this does not include those two things, but the majority of it is credit card debt and then also a small personal loan, and total that we're trying to pay off is about $45,000. Now you're probably like, how the hell are you in $45,000 worth of debt? And I wish I could tell you exactly.
And there it is, right there. A lot of times people are in these mindsets that cause them to really not even pay attention to their expenses. Combine this with a high credit limit and you absolutely have a recipe for disaster. Let's watch on.
But we had a lot of medical stuff that we had to put on the credit cards. And then we also had a ton of my kids' therapies. So my daughter was in feeding therapy 4 times a week for just over 9 months. And then my son was also in speech therapy. And insurance does cover the first 20 visits of his speech therapy for the year, but he eats through that pretty quick.
You know, it's really unfortunate we continue to live in a society with sky-high insurance rates that don't even cover what people need. The medical expenses going on the credit card are bad enough, but it sounds like both of their kids absolutely need this therapy, and it's terrible to hear that that insurance won't cover it all. But it's also not surprising. Even though the healthcare world really needs to change, this is how it is, and we don't have a choice right now but to deal with it. It's always important to save up an emergency fund just in case unexpected life events happen.
So then after that, we were covering it with credit card. And we have now completely stopped using credit cards. We're in the process of paying it down, but it is a very slow process. We've already paid down about $6,000 of it since I started this like 2.5 months ago, 2 months ago, something like that. But I'm using the money that I earn from TikTok and from sharing this journey to put as extra money towards the debt. So it's going faster than it would be otherwise, but that is how much.
You can really get into a lot of trouble when you carry a high balance month to month. The interest rates on credit cards are highly unfavorable most of the time, and as soon as you start carrying tens of thousands worth of balances month to month, that interest will compound so quick your head will spin, and you can find yourself in a situation where you're actually incapable of paying down the balance because of it. It is super nice to see she's being resourceful and opening up multiple income sources with the extra money on TikTok. It might not be much, but anything counts in a situation like this. She seems to be staying positive about everything, and that's a really great mentality to have. Hope they can dig themselves out. Now we're hopping over to another story where a woman has suddenly found herself $10,000 in debt.
I have a question. How much credit card debt are you in? Because for context, I'm 26, I've been working since 17, paying for my own shit, moved out at 18, have been independent ever since. And I have $10,000 worth of credit card debt.
Man, it's really unfortunate to see that she's still at quite a young age and has found herself in that much debt. Now let's see how she got there.
And I will be the first to admit that I'm not perfect. I've definitely paid off medical bills and like emergency vet visits and things on my credit card, but I've also bought a lot of dumb shit.
There it is again. This again is a really unfortunate situation that many people find themselves in, but it is totally avoidable with proper planning.
But it's like people my age have $55,000 worth of credit card debt. Do you see how my eye's twitching? That shit stresses me out. Like $55,000 is my take-home salary from my last job.
Pretty much any credit card company that sees you're racking up a high balance and then paying it off every month will absolutely give you a credit line increase, and that is how that happens. Credit card companies are very good at identifying the types of people who might slip up and carry a large balance because it makes them a ton of money. We also have some income information with this one. That is an especially bad place to be with that kind of wage. With rent and other expenses, it's going to be super difficult to outpace that interest on her balance.
Like, I think I'm just morbidly curious on, like, what gets you to the point of $55,000 worth of credit card debt? Also, who gave you $55,000 worth of credit in general? Like, not to mention, my credit usage, way high. Like 90-something%. So my interest rates, 30%. Like, the interest would make me want to throw up.
That is so terribly unfortunate that she's at an interest rate of 30%, but it's not that unusual. However, that's going to make it that much harder to pay down that balance with the income she's making. Sounds like she needs to cut costs wherever she can and pay down that balance as fast as possible. It's likely unavoidable that by doing this, she would be running herself very thin financially while taking care of the balance, so I hope she doesn't run into any unexpected life events. On the bright side, she does seem to be aware of where she's at and how she got there, and that is a very good thing. Hopefully she can take care of that and find herself in a better place. Next, we're going to jump over to somebody who's giving out financial advice on TikTok. Their handle on TikTok is Ash All About Money, and she seems to have some pretty good stuff. Let's see how she does.
They want to pay this credit card off in 1 year, and this comment was a couple weeks ago, so let's just pretend they're going to have it paid off by December of 2024. The limit is high, it's $27,600, and the balance is $18,245. So we take the balance divided by the limit to get the current utilization. So the current utilization is at 66% on this card. Luckily, it's not maxed out completely because that would be even less fun to pay off. But if we take the 66% and there's 11 months left before December ends, we're going to divide the 66% by 11 to see how much the utilization needs to go down on the card every month to have this goal of paying it off in 11 months. The balance needs to go down 6% every month to be paid off in 11 months. So here are the utilization percentages going down by 6%, and then here are what the balances need to be at in order to report at each one of those utilization percentages. Remember, to get these cards to report at these utilization percentages, you also have to account for interest. I'll go over that in just a second.
Seems like she's dishing out a really good plan for this user. It's an interesting way to look at it. You could also divide the balance by 11% and then add the interest, but the way she's doing it, she's accounting for the utilization percentage of the credit card, which will help this person see how it's going to affect their credit score. The other part of this, though, is the user needs to figure out how to budget enough to actually make those payments, and they might have to adjust their plan for how much they can actually handle, and that could add more time. Let's watch the rest.
If we take the balance times 6%, this is going to tell us how much the balance needs to go down every month, but this doesn't account for the interest. So you're going to have to add extra for the interest. You can do this either by guesstimating the way I do interest, or you can just look at your previous statement, how much you were charged, and just add that to the next month's payment of $1,656. And the interest will get less as the balances get lower.
This seems like a really solid plan laid out for this user. The only thing I'm concerned about is the amount that they would have to pay month to month to pull this off in under a year. $1,658 is a lot of money, and if this person has a pretty average salary with other expenses like rent and a car payment, it might be really difficult to make those payments without making a major change. Sometimes a major change is needed to make this stuff happen. Maybe you can get a roommate, or maybe you could move somewhere else, or even back with your parents if that's available. Sometimes these changes can be super tough, but if done right, these are only short-term changes that make your future so much better. I hope this person can figure out whatever they need to get this done in the time frame. And if they have to extend it a little bit, that's just fine too, as long as they get their balance under control, and even more importantly, keep it under control. That's going to do it for this one, guys. How much credit card debt, if any, are you in? And what are you doing to make your situations better? Let me know in the comments down below. If you'd like to support the channel, don't forget to like the video and consider subscribing. With that, we'll see you guys tomorrow for more financial pain.